Now, bluing is something you can do on most airsoft stuff. Unfortunately, a lot of airsoft guns are made of pot metal, which is just a cheap metal which doesn't take to bluing very well. But if you have steel, you can use something like this, Perma Blue Paste Gun Blue. There's another one which is a liquid. This is one for aluminium. I use the paste one. It goes a lot longer and I get better results. So the steps are, you've got to have everything clean. This stuff is acid, so protect your eyes, protect your face, protect your skin, protect other things. But if you have a problem, water just completely negates all the effects quite quickly. You've got to make sure that all the grease is removed from the metal, every single last bit, even fingerprints. That's why I'm wearing gloves. I use rubbing alcohol. Another common one for rubbing alcohol, which is cheaper to get, is surgical spirit. Surgical spirit is not as strong. Rubbing alcohol, you can get large quantities of it scarily on eBay. So clean the metal really well. Once it's clean, you use the chemical bluing. You can put it on with a sponge or whatever, but you tend to throw the stuff away afterwards, so I just use paper towel. Put a small amount on, just like toothpaste, and the effects are pretty instantaneous. So rub it on, and as you rub it on, the chemical starts reacting with the metal and it starts to go blue. Well, it's more like a black colour. So this is just one quick application. You can see here, this is the normal untreated, and this is the chemical blued. But the thing with this stuff is, it says in the instructions that you put it on 30 seconds, rub it off with water, but it doesn't actually do much. I've never had the metal destroy itself or be eaten away overnight or anything, so you can just keep putting it on, as long as you don't get any grease on the stuff. As soon as you get any grease on it, just use some rubbing alcohol, clean it again, and the more layers you put on, the darker the effect goes. If it gets scratched or wears off in the future, which it will do, not completely, but you know, if you rub a lot or it gets scraped on something, you will scratch it. You just have to get some more of the stuff, put it on, and it will just cover it up straight away. So you get this lovely effect. You get all of the purples and some yellows in there. It's like oil and water. So that's the untreated mild steel, and that's the chemical blued. This is only for steel, which is reasonably rare in airsoft stuff. Most of the stuff is aluminium. This is an aluminium slide that I've used the chemical bluing agent for mild steel, and you get this kind of bronzy, yellowy, kind of like cheap bronze effect. Can seem nice. It almost looks like metal that's been overheated. But if you really want to have aluminium, you need to use the aluminium version of the chemical bluing. It's not as good, I find, as the chemical bluing. It doesn't seem to last as long, but you can cover afterwards with like a lacquer. I normally use a matte lacquer. Just one that you can get from a hobby shop or from an automotive shop. Just put a coating on it, and what I tend to do is every few months I just put another spray coating over it. Doesn't matter if it goes over plastic or if it goes over metal or anything. You're putting on, you know, micron thick layers, so it's not really going to affect. And if you don't like it, it will rub off eventually, but it just gives you that little extra protection to stop it coming off every single time you bump and knock it. So I've just cleaned this with some rubbing alcohol, and let's have a look at the effects of the aluminium black. This stuff's more liquid, so it's easier to get in your eyes, so be careful. Give it a shake. Again, I'm just going to use a paper towel. Goes on just as liquid. And this is over the top of the bluing that I've already done, but that shouldn't make a difference. And you get a blackening effect to the aluminium. Again, you might have to put a few applications of this on, but don't worry, you don't have to wait or do anything. You can just keep putting it on. It's a chemical reaction, so when you put it on, it will react, neutralizing itself, and then if you just put more on, it just has more of a reaction and you get more of the colour. So this is going that quite nice blacky colour. Now I want this slide to be quite black, so I'm just going to keep going. If you find that you have left some grease spots, or you've touched it with your fingers and you end up with a fingerprint that will just be etched onto it, rub it down with some very fine emery paper, clean it again with some surgical spirit or some rubbing alcohol, and go over it. You can't really go wrong. It's not a difficult thing to do, and if you really hate the effect afterwards, it's only on the top layer of the metal. It hasn't soaked in. It's not like wood stain on wood. It doesn't go into the metal. It's just a reaction to the skin of the metal. So you can always take it off with some emery paper or wire wool, and you can get back to the finish you had before. Now you can have parkerized finishes, which is more like looks more like paint on a lot of airsoft guns, but I think these chemical effects, chemical looks, look much nicer. Right, there you go. And this is the final effect. I've chemical blacked, aluminium black, the whole thing now. So you get that nice. It didn't work so much on the body. It was a bit patchy. Little bits. There's a bit here. Didn't quite take that well. I'm not that fussed. But that's the effect that you get. Quite a nice blackened finish, and this to me looks much more Second World War now, which is what I was after, as opposed to the very modern SSP that it was to start with.